I'll call the Scarborough Town Council for Wednesday, April 4th to order. I would ask that you rise with me and join me in pledge allegiance to... I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilor Roy?
Here.
Councilor Holbrook? Here. Councilor Sullivan?
Here.
Councilor Benedict?
Here.
Councilor Rancourt?
Here.
Councilor DeAndre?
Here.
Chairman Alquist.
Here. Next order is general public comments. This is a time when you folks in the audience, if you'd like to get up, step right up to the podium, give your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes to talk to us about what you want to.
Okay.
Go
Hi,
ahead.
I'm Joe Jagalinzer. I live on Cedar Brook Drive in Scarborough, off Eastern Road, and I'm here to, with several others, to voice our concern about the proposed Wigman development. And one of the things I want to point out is in the comprehensive plan, section B2, commercial and economic development will be positive additions to the community with respect to residential neighborhoods and the natural environment. And my feeling is that that does not fit in with the long-term comprehensive plan. So that's all I wanted to say, but I wanted to bring it to the public.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Rule, and I live at 21 Fairfield Road, which runs parallel to the Black Point Road and the proposed site of the 81-unit senior housing facility. I would just like to remind you that the impact of the traffic, which travels in either a northerly or southerly direction, is already an incredibly intolerable traffic issue. And I urge you to encourage to encourage the planning board to take a serious look at this issue specifically. I also feel that it is imperative that an independent traffic study be conducted, especially since I remind you all again that the intersection at Oak Hill is already known by the town to be a failing one. Not to mention that the scale of the 81-unit senior housing facility is already going to be sorely out of scale for the rest of our neighborhood, and which will also significantly alter the character of our already existing quiet and close-knit neighborhood. This afternoon at approximately 2:30, it took me almost 4 minutes to make a simple right-hand turn off from the Eastern Road onto Black Point Road. It is taking us all longer to get from point A to point B, and that time will only lengthen as the summer months approach. So again, I urge all of you to seriously consider the impact of the traffic pattern which exists already, but also to think ahead to the point in time when Carrie Anderson's development will also dump approximately 780 additional vehicles on a daily basis out onto the Black Point Road from his 195-unit Eastern Village subdivision before this project receives final approval from the planning board. My formula for arriving to that 780 vehicles was I took 195 units, multiplied it by 2 because everyone has 2 vehicles these days in a household, then multiplied that by, I reached 390, multiplied that by times 2 for the 2 trips a day. Again, thank you all for this opportunity to speak this evening.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, my name's Lisa Ronco, 17 Black Point Road, and I thought I'd give you a different format as to how you'd receive information tonight. I wrote this poem just prior to coming in here. So, it's about Friends of Oak Hill. It's about our fight. It's about adding more developments over the hill and expect the Black Point Road to take on all this fill. It's about adding more to the existing problem by allowing an 81-unit project and just another and another. We don't see the logic. It's about feeling imprisoned in our driveways, in our own driveways, because you can't even get out. The traffic is often backed up. It's terrible, no doubt. So what are you going to do? You've always been nice and you nod your head at us. Haven't we created enough fuss? This is for everyone that travels the Black Point Road. We can't continue to take on more traffic and any more development load. Thanks.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members. My name is Randy Dunton from Goral Palmer Consulting Engineers. We are the traffic engineers for the Wegman property and the project, and we just like to take a moment to give you a brief summary of the project so you can put it into perspective when making your decisions tonight. The project, the traffic, I'll strictly keep it to traffic related. The original traffic impact study was submitted in December of 2011. The trip generation for this facility was originally forecasted at 14 a.m. and 25 p.m. trip ends in a peak hour. Per the request of the traffic peer reviewer, Mr. Bray, a similar facility was counted. That facility was resulted in a forecast or resulted in 9 trip ends and 6 trip ends for the AM and PM respectively. We did not use the lower trip ends. We averaged the 2, which came out to 12 trip ends, 12 AM trip ends, and 16 PM trip ends. What this means to the intersection of Oak Hill, if you're looking at, say, the PM peak hour, is 13 trip ends total for an hour, which is approximately 1 every 5 minutes. This is less than 0.5% increase, 0.003 actually. As part of this project, and per the request of the town and the peer reviewer, there were 2 mitigation items that were requested and have been agreed upon. They are significant. They are the widening of Route 1 and the extension of the right turn lane, and the conveyance of property to the Maine Department of Transportation for future mitigation. The impact fee for this project, if they were to pay just the typical Oak Hill impact fee, is approximately $9,750. The value of what they're providing is more than 10 times that amount. The impacts, the mitigation that they're providing, the extension of the right turn lane, and the property conveyance to Maine DOT is consistent with the previous projects and studies that have been done for the Oak Hill area. So the mitigation is consistent with those items. It reminds you that any other use on this facility would significantly be more than 13 trip ends to the intersection during the PM peak hour. So.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. Eddie Wooden, 34 Clearwater Drive in Scarborough. I'm here to say thanks. I was nominated by Town Manager Tom Hall for the Eco-Maine Environmental Award representing Scarborough. A month ago, I attended that event. It was a luncheon, and it was wonderful to see the environmental work from 20 different communities. It was a privilege to represent Scarborough. Thanks, Tom, and those citizens who had suggested that. And Chairperson Alquist was there. Thank you for taking time. I know you're busy. I appreciate the effort. DeAndrea, Karen, thank you for being there as well. And Mike Shaw, I think it's Mike Shaw, who's a nice young man. He was there for the event as well. So I thank you. Here's a photo of the group, including Mike, and here's the award. And I bring this as a shared thing for the town of Scarborough and all those individuals who are working to make it a strong environmental place. So I didn't want to be remiss. I wanted to be here and say thank you to all of you. Thanks.
Thank you, Eddie. Anybody else like to speak? Now it's our favorite time for the councilors to have the students that are here tonight visiting stand right up go to the podium and give your name and why you're here and what class you're with. So could you stand right up at the podium, please?
We did it to all the others.
Yeah. We do it here.
Hello, my name is Megan Martin. I am with Mr. Coffin's Civics and Government class, and I am here to view the levels of U.S. government for a school project.
Welcome, Megan.
Hi, I'm Cindy Pendleton. I'm here for the same thing. I'm in Mr. Coffin's class. I'm a sophomore at Scarborough.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex Dargy. I'm with Mr. Coffin's civics class, and I am here for the same purpose as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Anybody else would like to speak? If not, we'll have the minutes. What's your pleasure on the minutes from the last meeting?
Move approval.
Second. All those, any adjustments? Yeah, Karen Dan.
I just want to reflect the proper spelling of Eddie Wooden's name under item 11 is Eddiewoootin.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Any other? Council Roy.
On page 5, under new business, the top order, it should also read as recommended by the Finance Committee. That was the renewal of McDonald Page's contract. Okay.
Thank you. Any other adjustments? If not, all in favor? It's a vote. Next is the adjustments to the agenda. I believe we have one adjustment.
Yes, on Order 1245, it should read that the mass gathering request is for 1 to 5 permits, not for one concert on one date. So it should be for 1 to 5 permits based on preliminary submittal.
Okay, thank you. Items to be signed, we'll do that throughout the meeting. The first order,
Order 1242 is a 7 p.m. public hearing and action on the new request for a food handler's license from Little Liza Jane Corp., doing business as Little Liza Jane's, located at 524 Black Point Road. This is a change in ownership, which was previously the carry-all.
and this is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the
Move
council?
approval of Order 1242.
Second.
Any comments, discussion? If not, all those in favor? It's a vote.
Resolution 1203 is a resolution for the establishment of a transportation committee to consider traffic congestion and development pressure townwide with immediate focus on the Oak Hill area.
Councilor Rancourt?
Yes, I would move approval of Resolution 1203, and I'm getting my computer to move as quickly as I can, which reads in whole, establishment of a transportation committee to consider traffic congestion and development pressure townwide with the immediate focus on the Oak Hill area. Whereas traffic congestion throughout Scarborough area has been a long-standing issue, nowhere more acute than along Black Point Road and Route 1 Oak Hill area, and whereas the development pressure exists in the Oak Hill area, most recently related to the so-called Jarvis property, as it is the last remaining undeveloped property in the area, and such development has the potential to further exacerbate traffic congestion, and whereas the town has undertaken multiple traffic and pedestrian studies of the Oak Hill area, including the Oak Hill pedestrian study in 2011, but has not advanced any comprehensive improvements to address traffic congestion and pedestrian safety, and whereas Chapter 5 of the Comprehensive Plan provides a discussion linking land use and transportation planning and states as an objective to implement and improve transportation in Scarborough in an organized, efficient, and cost-effective manner, and proposes the creation of a transportation committee to prepare a transportation plan to establish implementation schedules and approaches, and now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Scarborough in Town Council assembled that in accordance with the recommendations of Chapter 5 of the Comprehensive Plan, a transportation committee be established for the purpose of preparing a transportation plan for review and acceptance by the Town Council, and that the highest priority for the committee will be to review the Oak Hill area and recommend a specific plan and implementation schedule to relieve traffic congestion along Black Point Road and Route 1. Signed and sealed this, 4th day of April 2012 on behalf of the Scarborough Town Council and the Town Manager of Scarborough, Maine.
Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Before we have any discussion, is anybody from the public would like to speak on this matter? Seeing none, Council Raincourt?
Yeah, I brought this forward for one reason. I think I stated it quite a bit at the last meeting, that this is an area that has really had no actual implementation planning done. There's been lots of committees or studies to study the area, but nothing has actually been planned or phased in or scheduled to mitigate what's happening with Black Point Road. And so I think it's time that we actually, whether it's a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or a 3-month plan, we need to start having concrete steps of what can be done. And of course, this is not the only area in town, but I think it being a major crossroads because it is so located in the Oak Hill neighborhood and municipal area of town, it gets an unusual amount of traffic. Although I haven't done this, I sort of was thinking if I actually looked at a map of all of the developments in Scarborough, I think I would find that a very large portion of them are or run off from the Black Point Road Route 1 corridor. So I think we have a fairly significant population in the town of Scarborough that also lives and works and drives along Black Point Road, Route 1 corridor. So that's why I'm asking that we actually, let's have some concrete plans.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak on this?
Sure.
Councilor Sullivan?
I agree with Councilor Rancourt as far as the issues. I really don't see what a transportation committee is going to solve. If you're looking at doing something about Wegman property, this is going to come too late. We've done a Route 1 transportation study. We've done traffic studies of Oak Hill, traffic studies of loop roads, pedestrian studies, and we've done rezoning of Oak Hill. I meant when we did the rezoning to TVC3, TVC2, I feel that was the time to start, that we should have been addressing these issues. To have another committee formed and go over all the stuff again, we haven't even started implementing the pedestrian issues, and with the money and the way the budget is right now, we're putting ourselves into a tough spot, I think. Eventually the stuff will get taken care of. But where the budget is now, I don't see a lot of the stuff being taken care of. And I'd like to hear from Carol what she thinks this is going to solve.
Councilor Raincourt?
Yeah, this is not, as you remember from last week, this is not particularly about the Wegman property, or I guess the greater Jarvis property, although to me, it's the spark that has sparked this. We've had this problem, as I said last week, for a long time. This is not new. There have been many, many, many developments go in off Black Point Road that have added to the traffic issue. But in all that time, we've done lots of studies, but we have no implementation plan. That doesn't mean we have to, sorry, I don't know if this is picking up. That doesn't mean we have to spend the money this year or in any particular budget. But if we don't have a plan of action, and I'm looking not to restudy or do anything, I'm looking at taking what we have and developing a plan of action as to what will come first, what will come second, how, in whether it's in a very small section or a big section that we can complete. One of the things that Dan Bacon has said, and Dan, you can speak to, I saw it in the newspaper, that you're going to be applying for more grants. To have some direction of where we'd like the money spent, where the priorities are, I think would be helpful in that. It doesn't necessarily have to come from the Scarborough taxpayers. But right now, we have no implementation plan. That's what I'm looking for. What are we going to do? What is our overall goal? What's doable, and what are we going to do? And so I'm not looking to redo those studies. We've done that to death.
Yes.
So that's what I'm looking for.
That was my point also, and I meant with conversations with the town manager and Councilor Alquist on, it does become an issue of money to me. Where are we going to get the money to do this? The budget's tight. School's looking for a huge increase. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's coming up with the money. If we can do it with grants, fine. But if this committee, I meant from talking with the town manager and Council Alquist, I think that the planning department knows what needs to be done, knows all those parts to put together. But we need the money to put them together. So I'm not saying I'm against this. I'm just saying the reality of it is we need the money to do it.
Thank you, Council Holbrook.
Jessica, yeah.
I'm just, I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm thinking, and that comp plan kind of comes out. And I'm thinking we just recently reassigned the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee to our Long-Range Planning Committee. So I'm just sitting here thinking that I know you're talking about having this be a plan and how we're going to go forward and timetables, but, I mean, wouldn't this be something that long-range planning could undertake? And I know there's also, I'm trying to think of the name of it, PACS? The PACS that I'm thinking of, that does a lot of, identifying, and I know, I think when I first came onto the council, I attended a workshop they have, and they look at investing and regionally they give local municipalities some funds. I know 114 is a big issue. That was the workshop I just happened to attend, but I think there's opportunities out there. I'm not sure that we need a whole nother committee, I guess. And maybe just a directive to long range to start looking at this stuff.
Thank you, Councilor Roy.
Yeah, I have the same concerns that Carol has, and I guess I would apologize to the public that are currently affected by this, that I really wasn't following this whole development when I should have been, and it's difficult because we appoint the planning board. The planning board is a legislative body, and they follow the guidelines of the zoning, and that it's their responsibility, not the council responsibility. And when people own a private piece of property, as long as they are within the guidelines, they get to do the development that they want. But I think that it does say to us that we need to be more forward-thinking as we move down the road, as more development occurs. And it reverts me back to the Eight Corners sewer. And that's why I ended up on the town council. And out of that came, the next time we extend sewer and we extend it and offer it to citizens in an area that abut it, we're going to upfront it and we're going to tell them how much it's going to cost and those kinds of things. And so that came out of that whole issue. And I think, this is what Carol's asking for here, is just to pull all that data together. And I kind of got a little bit of a nod from Dan sitting in the audience there relative to the Long-Range Planning Committee. And perhaps there might be, a couple more people that might like to, join it when that particular topic comes up. But I think, Carol's right. We've got so many intersections that are being stressed by the traffic. Traffic is a major problem. More people means more traffic, and no matter what neighborhood you live in the town of Scarborough, traffic is an issue. They go too fast, there's too many of them, that whole scenario. So I will vote in favor of this resolution, and perhaps we can, think tank a little bit, and where do we place it? Do we make a separate committee, which I think Council Holbrook's right. We've got so many committees now, it's hard to get a handle on them. And long-range planning certainly deals with all of these issues, and that might be the appropriate spot with some additions, so.
This creates the committee.
Councilor DeAndrea.
This creates the Transportation Committee, so I don't know whether we could change the wording and,
Well, we have tried wordsmithing, and perhaps we need to, but we are, I hear what you're saying.
Before Councilor DeAndrea, Tom, would you?
I was just going to say, procedurally, I would expect there would be, should this pass, there would be a further action that would further identify the responsibilities, charge, mandate, composition, all of the above of the committee, so there would be a further consideration. I guess I don't disagree that Long-Range Planning Committee could take this on. They have a number of things that they're working on and working through first, so it's likely to be 6 months or a year before they have time to even look at this.
or it could be, they could be a subcommittee of long-range planning and then bring it forward, to the long-range planning.
Councilor DeAndrea.
Well, I have no problems with putting together a committee to look at solutions for that specific area. I don't see budget problems here because we don't even have a plan. So there's not even any consideration for that at the moment. So I don't see that's an issue. I think this is a good idea, long overdue. For those of us who have lived down Black Point Road or traveled Black Point Road and use that intersection frequently, it is very long overdue. I plan on supporting this. I think it's a good idea, and I don't have a problem with putting together this committee as soon as possible so that they can get started working on putting together those studies and making some sense of them and looking at what are the long-term plans for that intersection. It's not going to go away, and it's not going to get any better. And it's only going to get worse. So we need to do something about it. We can't keep dragging our feet.
Thank you, Councilor Benedict.
Thank you. One thing that goes through my mind, number one, I do look at this as a potential budget item, which does not erase whether it's needed or not needed. The question that I have, because I'm not 100% familiar with the studies that have taken place, if either Councilor Rancourt, Councilor Sullivan, or Dan Bacon could answer, in all of these studies that we've already had on these various and sundry topics to do with Black Point Road, hasn't anyone come up with concrete, definitive ways to accommodate the problems? Have the problems been nailed on the head as to what needs to be done and just ignored, or have they not been addressed by any of these potential reports that we've already received?
I would just say some of both. Some of the recommendations of the traffic study, the Route 1 corridor traffic study, which I believe was, I'm going to say, probably 2005-ish. There were some recommendations, and they were voted down by the council that sat. Everything kind of died there. So the subsidiary recommendations just haven't been put forward. The Oak Hill Pedestrian Committee, which just finished last year, has made some recommendations, prioritized them really based on the potential of how much would they cost, but did not set out a plan of action. It tells what we need, but not how to phase it in, or what we should apply grants for first, or that kind of thing. So yes, we have two very good documents that have done a lot of this work. Certainly within the past, I'll say, both of them were completed in the last 10 years anyway, that we can use as a model for this, to then start an implementation plan. It's just like we do, to me, what I'm asking for is very similar to what we do in the budget when we look at a 5-year plan for replacement of vehicles, or that kind of thing. We're going to have a plan and this is what we're gonna do. But if we don't have the money for it, that plan doesn't get implemented that year. It gets pushed ahead. But we know this is the first thing we're gonna do, this is the second, this is the third, and we're gonna keep doing that depending on the funds. So that's why I don't see it as a budget problem. The budget problem is a separate issue. This is actually setting down a plan, and then later on, it's finding a way to fund it, or partially fund it, or make it go out however long it's gonna take. That's what I'm looking at.
Councilor DeAndrea.
And I just want to add that over the past couple of years, and members of this council will recall, I did not vote for the Higas Parkway Route 1 intersection improvements, and nor did I vote for the Dunstan Corner Route 1 improvements. However, and those just happened in the last couple of few years when the economy was so bad. So we knew that there were problems, or we thought there were problems with those intersections, and we didn't have a problem getting them fixed, even in a bad economy. So here we have an intersection that we know has been a huge problem for a number of years. And yet, I'm surprised that it still feels like there's some resistance to getting something done there. Thank you.
Councilor Sullivan.
I really don't know what to say. I mean,
Okay.
how does it not be budgetary? I mean, if we don't have the money, we don't have the money. I know that we've got all these other projects in town that are on the burner that need to be done. I mean, what are we gonna, I mean, we've had, citizens get up here and speak about how spending is getting out of control. We're talking about the same thing. I mean, it's good. We've studied this thing to death. I'm okay with the committee, put it together. If we can find the money, fine. But what Carol's saying, and I agree, it's been talked to death, okay, and nothing's been done, okay? So we need to, let's do something, but and we can get a plan together, but it still comes down to dollars and cents. Are we going to be able to get the money from outside sources, or are we going to spend taxpayers' money? It's budgetary. That's all I get to say about it.
Councilor Benedict.
Done.
This I'm going to partially direct to Councilor DeAndrea. You spoke a couple of minutes ago as not assuming this to have anything of a budget impact, but then coming back 5 minutes later and stating that Dunstan area and one other area, it did take money for the implementation of the satisfaction of the problem. Which is why I did not present a budget problem with this, just as a point that it is a budget item, it will end up being a budget item, which agrees with what Richard is saying. We have budget items now that have got to be put on the back burner. We can't raise taxes. We can't continue to raise taxes because we're going to be pushing people right out of town and preventing people from moving in town. So there is a definite budget problem with the end result of putting the committee together.
Thank you. Councilor Roy, then Councilor Rankin.
I just, a point about the Route 1 corridor traffic study and the Higas Parkway in Dunstan. When that project was talked about, it certainly was talked about in relationship to the traffic and the affect of the traffic on the Oak Hill corner. And the people who do this kind of work on a continuum did multiple traffic studies, and the conclusion was if you can straighten out Dunstan a little and you can add the Higas Parkway connector and improve that intersection, you ultimately are going to be preventing some of the excess traffic that might end up at the Oak Hill corner. And we did have them look at, traffic study-wise, what was going to happen to Oak Hill corner if we did or did not do the Higas Parkway. So I think Higas Parkway was done and prioritized by DOT, where we're getting a lot of monies from DOT to do that, because they saw it as important to the traffic in Dunstan and the traffic in Oak Hill. So I think it was done appropriately. Oak Hill, unfortunately, I was not sitting on the council at the time. That study did not pass the council, and we would probably not be here talking about this tonight had that happened at that point in time. No matter what area, again, you live in, for example, there was talk a number of years ago about blocking off Maple Avenue so people could not come off Gorham Road and end up on Route 1 down by the medical center. Well, if people can't take that bypass, imagine what would happen to Oak Hill Corner if we couldn't bypass some that way. So there's lots of traffic issues that we're aware of, and I think what we've done to date has done a great deal, and is going to do a great deal more to ease the burden on the Oak Hill Corner, and we do have to look at, and I think this is what the resolution is saying. Let's pull all those things together and really look at it, whether we've got the money or not. Dan's real good at getting grants, and he'll find some money somewhere. But we obviously know that that's probably the next major intersection that needs to have attention, and we'll do it when we can, but at least we'll be ready and we'll have a plan.
Just one final statement. I agree with you, Richard. Over time, this will have budget impacts. Everything does. I learned a long time ago there is no free lunch.
Exactly.
But what I want to say is, if you look at the Dunstan intersection, for example, that began before I actually started on this council, and I'm in my 9th year. But we've had a plan. We knew what we were going to do. It was studied, and we had a plan of how it was going to be. And to Jessica's comment earlier about PACs, that they're basically a funding source. And they don't do the planning for your town. The town does the planning and makes requests to them. We usually jointly plan with the DOT. They have their priorities and the town may have slightly different, and we try to come to some agreements. But they're also a funding source. And that's what we try to maximize in the town, is being able, not only through grants, but through the DOT, through PACs and other projects, to get money to do those things. So it isn't all on the backs of the taxpayers of the town of Scarborough. And that's really what I'm asking for. I'd like to have, for lack of a better term, a shovel-ready plan when these funding opportunities come along. That's what I'm looking for. Pure and simple.
Thank you, Councilor Rancourt. My opinion on this, I think as a council, we all agree that we're going to support this resolution. It's a good idea. I think we just have trouble with putting our arms around how we're going to do it. And there's discussion about that, and that's okay. That's all good. I support this resolution. I hope we can come up with a plan. I wish we came up with one back in 2005. And we, like you said, we'd be at a lot different place today. However, we're not. So we need to do what we got to do. So let's all come together. I don't think this is a perfect document. Personally, I'd rather use an existing committee than creating a new committee. I think we have people, that have gained some kind of expertise in dealing with these kind of issues, and I'd like to have those people kind of look at it myself. But we can argue about that later. I think the important thing is that we show the community that we support this resolution and we support the gist of it. So if there is no other comments, then I'll
Move the question.
All those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote. Next item.
Under Old Business Order 1226 is a second reading on the proposed amendments to Chapter 301, the Town of Scarborough Administrative Code.
Motion.
I would move approval of order number 1226.
Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on this issue? 1226.
Okay.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a second.
Richard, Councilor
Richard,
Sullivan.
yeah. Anybody would like to speak in favor of this? Councilor Roy.
I'd like to make some amendments to it. As promised, I did work with the town clerk to do a little additional clean, and I'll try to go through them quickly. There are a number of corrections. A lot of them are gender-specific. They've changed from he or she to they or them. And then there are some things that needed to be done for consistency. So I'll give you the page number and the gist of the changes. There is no substantive change for the most part to any of these changes, just cleaning them up. And on your copies, you have the first page, 2, 3, those are all gender-specific. On page 4, Under Article 2, Town Manager, and these are in the form of a motion. Section 202, the duties, it states the town manager, and because it said he. And then this next section is that the town manager is authorized to execute for and on behalf of the town of Scarborough mutual aid agreement. That was in both the public safety, the police department, and in the fire department section. And it's a town manager duty, so we pulled it from that area and placed it under the town manager. There is renaming on page 5 of, instead of the tax collector treasurer, it's the director of finance. Those are pretty simple corrections. On page 6, under section 302 duties, again, it said tax collector treasurer, and we changed that to the director of finance, just for clarity. Article, Deputy Town, Article 5, the assessment department, that was a new, was it new, Cody?
This was a new one, yes.
Yeah, it was, wasn't in there before, and it just outlines the duties of the assessing department. Page 8 has just renumbering and gender issues. On page 9, section 501 becomes 601, and on the second line, it should, I'm amending it to read, there shall also be within the Department of Harbor Master an animal control officer. Okay, and there's just renumbering at that point. On page 10, that section 6502 about the mutual aid agreement is stricken. And then adding section 60213, some of the departments said prepare and administer the department budget. This one did not, so that's the addition of that to that section. On page 12, the same thing under the duties of the fire chief, again adding a section 702-3, prepare and administer the department budget. On page 14, section 808 at the bottom, long-range planning committee, struck that and just identified that there shall be a long-range planning committee as established by the town charter Article 24 and replicated in the town committees manual and moved it to the committees. We had committees in this manual, and we moved them all to the committee one. Page 17, Article 11, the Department of Community Services. The only difference there is I broke out the duties. They were in one solid paragraph, as you have them in one solid.
What page are you on again?
Page 17.
Thank you.
When you start with the Department of Community Services, right now, what you're looking at reads as one chunk paragraph, and it's very difficult to delineate out duties. And so basically, all I did was take everything that was in that paragraph and break it out into 1102-.1, the development, implementation, and administration of a comprehensive community services program. So substantively, it doesn't say anything different than the full paragraph. It just breaks it out so it's easier to read and you know exactly what the duties are of community services. Did the same thing on the next page, on page 18, under the recreation youth section. Again, took the paragraph, broke it out into specific line items for duties. The duties stay exactly the same. Same under childcare, same under grounds maintenance on the next page, and administration. On page 19, at the bottom, section 1108, the Community Services and Recreational Advisory Committee, moved that to the committee's manual. So that whole section is moved. On page 20, under the Department of Public Works, again added prepare and administer the department budget for Public Works. On page 21, at the bottom, Community Services and Recreational Advisory Board, again, move that to the boards and committees manual. 22, 23, the red is everything that was changed before on the first reading. These are all things that got moved into the other, so you can whip right by all of those pages. I think the next page is page 32, Article, my Roman numerals are escaping me, but anyway, the town, trying to do the Roman numerals in my head real quick. The Scarborough River Wildlife Sanctuary, this is an ordinance, so it shouldn't be in the administrative manual. It's an ordinance. It should be under ordinances, and so my motion is to move that to ordinances. And, you don't have that.
Judy, I'm not seeing that, so tell me where it is again.
Actually, 31. It's on page 31 for you folks.
31?
Yeah, page 31, it's the Wildlife Sanctuary. Mine has 32, because I printed it myself.
Vegetation management.
It's an ordinance for the Wildlife Sanctuary, and so it needs to go to be a separate ordinance in and of itself. And, let's see, the rest of that going out. I believe those are all of, I guess the very last page, Article 24, the Long Range Planning Committee, again, that was just another place where it was, and we moved it out. So those are my amendments. I know they're quick to follow, but again, nothing substantive, just easier read, and hopefully we've cleared everything that was boards or committees.
Thank you for that. Council, second, we need a second.
Second.
Discussion.
No.
Councilor Rankwood?
Yeah, I think most of these make sense to me. The ordinance committee had gone over this and moved a number of items and actually cleaned up what committees and things that were no longer in functioning. So I think overall, with a few minor corrections, this will clean things up.
Hopefully. I mean, every time I looked at it, I found something else that,
Councilor Sullivan?
Wow, good job.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was good.
Retirement suits you well.
That's my spare time, is what I do.
Yeah, I'd like to tell Councilor Judy, nice job.
Thank you.
I think that the time that was spent to reword it makes it a lot easier for the common person to read, digest, and understand. And I think the work that was done is terrific, and I would certainly support the changes that have been made.
And for me, too. Thank you, Councilor Roy. It's, to me, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You, maybe not so much, but it's pretty overwhelming to some of us, and I appreciate it. And then, like Councilor Benedict said, just to make it easy to read for everybody, and we appreciate that. Other comments? All those in favor?
The amendment?
That's the amendment. Yeah.
That was the amendment. Now on the main motion as amended. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's a vote.
Order 1227 is the second reading on the proposed amendments to the procedure guide for the town committees and boards.
We have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Anybody from the public who would like to speak on this issue? Seeing none, council discussion?
I would make a motion to amend this one as well. There were just a few things different from before. On page 2, under minutes, added in the second paragraph, please be reminded that approved minutes must be filed, and added this comment, either electronically or via hard copy. And then adding a last sentence, the minutes of each meeting shall be provided electronically or via hard copy to the committee council liaison, which was a request of Councilor Sullivan.
Yes.
And then added a section, annual report, under that, saying all special committee and/or boards as defined in Chapter 302, Council Rules and Policies, subsection 2041, shall submit an annual report electronically or via hard copy to the town council regarding the summarization of the committee or board's activities for the year. So
That's it?
that covers all.
Very good.
On page 5, I believe it may be your page 5, it's the cable TV. It's another, it's page 6 for you? 6.
Yeah, 6.
There's another ordinance, cable TV ordinance. So the ordinance needs to stand out into ordinance, and currently we have no there are some specifics for the committee within this and within the bylaws of the cable TV, and I've already spoken with Bruce Gulliver to pull together in the format that other committees are, how it's established, organized, the duties and powers, and he's going to do that, and we can address that at a later date. And let me see if there was anything else. Jody was kind enough to make my changes in blue, which you don't have.
I think that was all.
The only one other thing was under Planning Board, on one of their duties, it says, and that might be page 18, I believe.
19.
19, okay. One of their duties, it says that they're supposed to submit a status report of the Planning Board quarterly at a regular meeting of the Town Council. In my 14 years on Town Council, I have never, ever seen that. So in my motion, I would move to strike that. Okay. Unless you want it in there.
Kind of want it.
They have an annual report. We can entertain that as a separate motion, perhaps.
Yeah, let's see if it's going to fly.
Okay. So those are my only adjustments.
Any questions? Comments? All those in favor of the amendment as amended? Opposed? It's a vote. Now the main motion, all those in favor of the main motion
As amended.
as amended?
Are you including, Judy, that portion about the planning board, or are you going to do a separate motion?
I can do a separate.
She included it?
I
Okay.
included it, yeah.
All right,
They do an annual.
okay.
Is it-
Yeah. So again, all those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote.
Order 1236 is act on the request to establish a new Pine Point Reserve account pursuant to the provisions of Title 30A, Sections 5801 and 5802 of the Maine Revised Statutes as amended and supplemented to date. This item was tabled from the March 21st Town Council meeting.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on item 12-36? Haven't seen none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval?
Second?
Comments? Counselor Hobart?
I beat you to the punch.
Go ahead. You did.
This is a great idea.
I was want to ask to table it, just to give it a little bit of thought. I thought, certainly, there's, not that we're talking large sums of money, but there's a little bit of seed money. Sometimes it's left over from the clam seed, so I thought this was certainly much more appropriate place if there was any leftover funds. And also just that it was a little more identified as not just the pier, but to have the reserve account for all working waterfront to meet a larger need.
Thank you. Counselor Sullivan?
No, she covered it.
Okay.
I need to move to amend the order 12-36 to replace with the proposed amendment as recommended by the Finance Committee for Coastal Waters and Working Waterfront Reserve account.
Sure.
I'll second
Second
that.
on that?
Second.
Okay, and discussion? Counselor Roy?
Yeah, I think it was a good point, because this way it's not specific just to Pine Point. I mean, Ferry Beach and, any Higgins Beach or whatever that might have some needs from that reserve account, it would be available and not be pinpointed just to Pine Point.
Any other comments? All those in favor of the amendment? Opposed? It's a vote. Now the main motion. All those in favor of Counselor Roy?
Yeah, just for the public benefit, when we're talking monies, it's not a big balance. There's a balance of $29,829. It's not a large balance.
Yeah, Councilor Benedict.
I just wanted to let the public know that in a walkthrough of the DPW, one of the questions that I had for them was why these piers were being sent out to another company where we have a working room for them to be made down there because of the money involved. And he came back to me with what I considered an acceptable answer, that the time involved and the materials involved and the longevity of how the piers need to be made, et cetera, were much better off in the hands of the people that have presented the bid and potentially going to build them, which came back. I tend to agree with that one, that we have the right people doing the right thing, building the piers. Therefore, the money end of it seemed to be appropriate to me. Thank you.
Anyone else? All in favor of the motion? It's a vote.
Under new business, Order 1243 is the first reading and schedule a public hearing on the proposed municipal school budget for fiscal year 2013.
Is there anyone who'd like to speak on this issue? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I would move approval of order number 12-43, which is first reading of the municipal school budget for FY 2013.
Second.
And Tom, do you have any comments?
Well, it's really at midpoint of review. At this point, there's no changes that have been officially moved forward, so what's before you and contained in this order is my proposed budget. I think there's a recognition and acknowledgement that there will be changes as the process goes forward, but I think it's essential to stay on track to get through first reading this evening. That puts us in position for public hearing and then considering final reading in several more weeks.
Yep. Councilor Lloyd.
We began the Finance Committee meetings on March 27th, and then we had a meeting this week. We have reviewed the budgets for fire, safety, EMS, the library, SEDCO, finance, administration, and what else? Can't remember. Huh?
Do you have Public Works in there?
Public Works, yes, we did Public Works. And next week, we'll be doing Community Services, and we'll be looking at the school budget. And then the next Tuesday, which will be Tuesday, the 10th, and then on Tuesday, the 17th, will be the time for the Finance Committee to discuss their findings and to come up with some recommendations to bring back to the council. The public hearing will be on April 25th.
No, there's going to be a workshop.
A workshop, that's right. The workshop is on the 25th. How can I forget that workshop? And hopefully all the council will be able to attend that so that there can be questions asked for, on the budget for areas, so everybody understands what is included in the budget. It's been a learning process for all of us this year. It's always a learning process. You learn something new every year. And then the public hearing is, I forget.
April 11th.
April 11th, okay. And then May 2nd will be a final reading.
Today, public hearing. That'll be here?
Yes. All of the councils, or most all of the council, has toured the departments. Council Holbrook and I did that Monday. We spent from 9 o'clock until 2 o'clock on Monday.
I haven't yet.
And we went to all the departments and asked a number of questions, and it was very, very, very good. It gives you better insight into, what the numbers mean on the piece of paper when you can see the people in action and the departments in action, so it was great.
Councilor Benedict.
No, it's me.
Councilor Rancourt, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to do these as amendments, but I'd just like to direct your attention to page 8 on the fees. Just a couple of corrections. Chapter 1006, Ferry Beach Herd Park fees, season passes. We should be adding in the Higgins Beach on that line.
Thank you.
And then on the highlighted yellow line, I believe that if we're saying both, that only means two, and so we need to take the word both out, because we have all three parks listed there, and on the next yellow highlighted line. And then, Tom, perhaps you can enlighten me, resident and/or taxpayer season pass, is that if they just choose two of the parks? Or is that for all three as well?
The proposal is for all three.
And I'm talking about the white line above, the first yellow highlighted line.
Should be all three.
Okay, and then one other place, a little further down, we have a highlighted in yellow Higgins Beach daily parking fee. Couldn't we just group that with daily parking fee for Ferry Beach and Hurt Park and just put Higgins Beach in there as well? Because they're all going to be the same now. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. So those are just sort of housekeeping, they're not
Yep.
substantive
Appreciate that.
items. I don't think they warrant an amendment, just they can be corrected.
We'll take care of that. Councilor
I
Ryan.
think there were going to be some suggestions from ordinance committee on
Ordinance,
specific.
and I know your
that-
committee's going over them as well.
That we need, we got the list of areas, but I also would like to get some thoughts from the ordinance committee as to what you would like to see as a change. Do you want to change up, or do you want to change down?
In fact,
I do
we
have that.
did talk about that with Tom at the last
Okay.
meeting. So he'll
And,
be sharing that
I'll
with
share it
you.
with the
So as
finance.
we have that information by the 17th, when we have our final deliberations, when making our
We will.
recommendations, that would be
will.
helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, this is the first reading of the budget. The process is, again, well underway. The Finance Committee has it, and we've been dissecting the budget. I think we're more than halfway through it. We're halfway through it, and we'll keep doing that. And again, the public hearing will be here next Wednesday night, which is April 11th at 7 p.m. And it'll be the chance for the public to make their comments to us on what the budget is and the changes. So, all those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote.
Order 1244 is a first reading and refer to the planning board the proposed amendments to Chapter 405, the Town of Scarborough zoning ordinance to amend subsections D and F of Section 28B, the Higas Parkway District.
Recognizing Dan, introduce him.
Oh, Dan is with us tonight, and he's going to give a little briefing on what's going on here and what's proposed.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dan Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dan Bacon, Town Planner. I think as all of you are aware, and actually some of you have been participating in, the Long Range Planning Committee has been working for a number of months now on updates to the Higas Parkway zone as well as the Exit 42 area, really in an effort to modernize the zoning, create more flexibility for new development to happen along the parkway, and also broaden what kind of uses are permitted on the parkway and at Exit 42, while maintaining the high standards the town expects for that future growth area. So the committee is going to be bringing forward very soon a fairly large package of zoning changes for the Higas Parkway district and potentially some new zones on either end of the parkway. But as part of this process and through this process, a new development is interested in the parkway. And there's a couple of changes that the committee was planning on dealing with in the larger package that would benefit this new development. And that's what's before you this evening. Two specific changes to the HP zone. One has to do with the setback requirement to residential districts. Right now, the zone requires a 50-foot no-disturb buffer from development within the Higas Parkway to a residential property or residential zone, and then a 100-foot building setback. And this is a bit constraining. The building setback limit or requirement of 100 feet is a bit constraining on many of the properties that are interested in development, particularly the ones in this vicinity, where there's a limited amount of developable land. So the committee's looked at all the various areas that abut residential districts and is comfortable with reducing the 100-foot building setback down to 50 to be consistent with the buffer requirement of 50 feet. And the committee is comfortable with that, really given the lay of the land in those areas. In most places along the commercial residential boundary, the residential land is actually higher than the Higas Parkway zoned properties. It drops down towards the Higas Parkway. So from an impact to residential neighborhoods, residential property, there won't be tall buildings kind of towering over residential properties, but the lay of the land kind of lends itself to less of a building setback, but to still maintain that 50-foot vegetated or landscaped buffer. So that's one change that's before you. The other has to do with parking. Currently, the Higas Parkway zone doesn't allow parking in front of buildings, no parking in what we call the front yard. The intent there being that buildings be the primary visual from the road and that parking be to the side or rear. That works on some properties. It doesn't work so well on other properties, depending on where the developable land on properties are, depending on the shape of lots. So the committee's proposing some new language that provides some flexibility to the developer and planning board, still encouraging buildings to be close to the street and parking to be to the side or rear, but allowing the planning board to approve some parking between the street and the building, and depending on the site, depending on topography, depending on certain characteristics on a lot, that would suggest that that makes sense, and that's really the only alternative the lot has for where a building goes, where parking goes. Lastly, there's, under parking, one other amendment that adds the allowance for shared parking. If there's 2 or 3 or 4 buildings on one lot, rather than each building having to build parking just to meet their building's needs. If they have different parking demand times, they can share parking, present that to the planning board so that we're not building more parking than we need these new developments along the parkway. So with that introduction, I'll turn it back to the council.
Yeah, Dan, before we get into a lot of questions, could you just explain a little bit what the process is, the review process to come up with these recommendations? Who saw that specifically, or if any committees did?
Absolutely. The entire package of changes the committee's been considering has been conducted with 2 different focus groups, where the property owners along the parkway were invited to those meetings to give the committee feedback on the host of changes. SEDCO participated, the Chamber of Commerce had some members present.
And residents.
And some residents, particularly along Payne Road, participated. So there's been 2 different sort of focus group, I wouldn't call them necessarily neighborhood meetings, because Higas Parkway is not a neighborhood quite yet, but focus group public meetings to get input on the draft changes, and we've refined them with that public input and before bringing it to you.
Thank you. Questions? Councilor Rancourt.
Yeah, Dan, can you show me again on the map the area where there are residential abutters?
Sure. I'll call it the western side of the Higas Parkway District abuts 2 different residential zones. It abuts, this yellow area is R2, and it's an area off of Two Rod Road. There's Whipple Lane that comes off of Two Rod Road, and I think this is Lillian Way, which is a neighborhood off of Whipple Lane. And then this green area down here is RF, Rural and Farming Zone. These are the 2 residential districts that abut Higas Parkway, which is this, I don't know, brownish gray colored zone. And the properties that are most limited by the current 100-foot building setback from the residential zone line are down here, near the ponds. there's a Scammon property and property owned by Linwood Higgins, and the ponds, as well as the lay of the land. There's a hill here, really kind of limit where buildings can go. And the hill, particularly in this area, again, slopes down towards the parkway. So that already provides a pretty nice buffer to this area here. And this area here, south of Whipple Lane, isn't really developed residentially yet. Where it is developed residentially is on Lillian Way and a few houses at the end of Whipple Lane. Up here, this property is a very wet parcel.
I can see that, because all those hatch marks are water, right?
This is
Yeah.
correct. This property up here,
Light yellow or white in here is water too, or wet area.
yes, yep. So the development potential of this property isn't particularly high. And again, it slopes down away from this neighborhood, so development happening up in this area, the probability is a lot lower than it happening closer to Payne Road.
Councilor Rancourt, further to that point, I believe what's shown on this map, and it's somewhat hard to see, but the little brown dots are actual building footprints, so you have a sense of actually where houses are located in proximity to those zones.
Right, and I was just looking at, in thinking of this as the Higas Parkway for the public, some of this land, very little actually abuts the Higas. Some of these properties have very little access to Higas Parkway. The majority of the land is further up, and that's how it's abutting the houses, because there are very few houses right at Higas Parkway.
Correct.
Yep.
The other areas on the other side abut the Enterprise Parkway, like over on this side, and so that doesn't, it's not
Right.
as much of an issue. But that whole side, as we looked at it in long-range planning, that whole side, really, the topography does come from the hill down.
Right.
Pretty much, and it's
Right. All of the other sides abut commercial zones and don't need to meet these requirements in terms of setback requirements.
It's not often we get to talk about any substantial grade change in Scarborough, but this is one of the areas that there was a noticeable change with Scotto Hill.
And even the white cross-hatching, Carol, that does delineate that it's wetland, is not as accurate as it, doesn't really truly represent the amount of wet areas. It's a close approximation, but it's not really anywhere near accurate.
Unfortunately for the landowners, it's wetter than the map suggests.
Yes, of
Less
course.
developable.
It always is that way. And am I correct in assuming that on the southerly part where the Higgins parcel is, the only house, what I would call a house, is Doc Haggis's house, right? There's no other houses right there. There are
Well,
businesses
there's
now.
the businesses, but yeah, that's the only
Right.
house, yeah.
And I don't know if I think Doc's is a business now.
Certainly is.
Yes.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Their house is across the street, up above Irving.
Yeah, but aren't they on Scotto really, though?
No.
Oh, the one next to Irving.
They're right
Yeah,
above the
yeah, yeah,
Irving
yeah.
station.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
two houses
Okay,
above
yeah.
the Irving station.
And these people all came to the meetings, Tom, to talk about this?
Some, but not all, no, not all the
Homeowners?
abutters necessarily, no.
Okay.
They were
There some
notified, though.
There were some.
They were notified.
Thanks. Dan, let's have a motion before we have any more
I would move
discussion.
approval of order number 12-44.
Second. Discussion, Council Benedict.
I'd like to thank Dan for the work that has been done on this. I had concerns coming onto the board with the lack of development that has gone on over the years in the Haggis Parkway, given the size of it and the potential, quite honestly, the business taxes that could be derived when it became able to be developed, and was hoping that certain things could be reviewed, as you have done, and changed to make them a little more user-friendly, with still the idea of protecting the town in an overall fashion. And I support this the way it is, but I also wanted to thank you for bringing it to us and giving us a thorough explanation of what's being done.
Absolutely.
Council Roy.
Yeah, and I think as Dan alluded to, there is some other parts of this that we're going to be looking at. I mean, it's just important at this point because of the proposed potential developer that we want to move that along because we really would like to see more. And if we can get one business developed in there, then we may have more, so that's good. And I think you'll be pleased too, Councilor Benedict, when you see the whole packet. There's a great deal more work that's been done on the entire Hargis Parkway zone that is looking at being business-friendly and, and moving with the times as to what kinds of businesses can go there, so.
That's good for the heart. Thank you.
Just into that point, if you want a taste of that, there was a memo dated March 5th in your materials that gives a hint at those larger zone changes.
I just also wanted to say thank you, Dan, for the line in there about the impervious, reducing impervious areas, because you know that's near and dear to my heart.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? All those in favor? Opposed? It's a vote. Thanks, Dan.
Councilor Alquist, just a reminder to the public that there will be public hearing also, and we'll be getting recommendations from the planning board, which is...
Thank you.
Order 1245 is act on the request for a conditional mass gathering permit from Waterfront Events LLC located at 275 4th Street, Old Town, Maine for 1 to 5 events on the preliminary submittal.
Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak on order number 12-45? Step right up to the microphone and...
My name is Matty Jeff. I'm the program director for WPOR 101.9. I just want to come and speak on Alex Gray and Waterfront Concerts' behalf. We've had a great promotional partnership with them for a few years now, working on various concerts. He's always been the guy that delivers on his promises. Gets a great concert experience, affordable and well-organized, which I think is important for listeners and for Mainers. And actually, as far as executing on-site events, he did our Jingle Jam concert for us this past winter, and everything went flawlessly. And just wanted to recommend Alex. I think he'd be a great partner for this show. That's it.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening. My name's Art Dillon, Black Point Road. I'm also the president of the Scarborough Community Chamber of Commerce. As this was presented last year or similar to this, I think this would be a great benefit to our community economically, bringing in lots of business, tourists, and I think, with all due consideration, we'd like to voice our support of this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Yep.
Good evening. Rocky Risborough, Black Point Road. Just wanted to ask the council to support this motion tonight. I've met Alex and dealt with him and been to his facility in Bangor, and I think they do a terrific job, and they'd be a good addition. We should welcome them to our town, and hopefully they can put on some nice concerts this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. Before we go any farther, I think we have somebody here to make a little presentation.
I'll grab an exploded diagram that you have in your book. It's in the first couple of pages. What we effectively tried to outline in these, the green binders that you have in front of you was some of the peer review criteria, and I guess I'll qualify. My name's Alex Gray. I'm the president of Waterfront Concerts, but the goal ultimately was to give you some more information as to what it was that went through the peer review process. I had a great pleasure working with both your fire chief and your police chief. They were very resourceful and helpful in our process, and you're very lucky to have great city staff. I do this in a lot of municipalities, and it's rare that you go to towns and you find great resources. But that being said, what we've ultimately done is taken the complaints that we heard from last year's events after we were approached by the folks from the Scarborough Downs and tried to address those concerns both on the municipal level and then again on the customer level. And our goal ultimately is to produce a series of events. I don't think anywhere near the scale that was proposed last year. It's very rare in the state of Maine that you would have a concert that would bring that volume of people. We are just a relatively small state. When I speak to the agents, I represent Maine as the cul-de-sac of America. You have to drive into it, and then you have to drive right back out of it. So we are not necessarily anywhere where acts are going to be driving by unless they start their tour. That being said, we tend to be either a secondary or tertiary market. So when it comes right down to it, I think the numbers and the loading is slightly more conservative than what you saw last year, and I think more in tone with what the site would expect to see and what the city would expect to see.
We have the information in front of us, and you plan up to 5 events, is that true?
The mass gathering ordinance, the way we interpreted it was from up to 1 to 5 events. For us, it's much like buying a car or a home. Amortization of expenses is very important. We're going to build a temporary structure with a stage, fencing, backstage dressing room trailers and things of that nature. We've agreed with the property owner to place these pieces and put them there temporarily for the summer, and that amortization really helps our ability to ultimately be more successful. And we had met some of your staff and Harvey over at Sedco, I want to say 2 years ago, when Scarborough Downs initially put the property up for sale. Live Nation, the company that I'm a partner with, owns the Bank of America Pavilion in downtown Boston, the House of Blues, Comcast Center in Mansfield, Massachusetts, produces most of the concerts you see at Fenway, Gillette, and so on. And they were looking for a main base of operations. We ended up in Bangor, produced a number of shows there, 7 in the first calendar year, 17 last year, and the success that we've had there ultimately has led us to grow within the state. The acts ultimately would like to come back to the state year in and year out, and because of the state's small population, doing that in Bangor does not make sense. So having a northern or a central site and then a southern site gives us the ability to, in a sense, ping pong between the two. So Act A would come on year A and then come back on year B in the southern site, thus not ultimately drawing the market down to a point where we just don't have anybody that's interested as acts produce new music and come out with a new CD. The turnaround tends to be 18 months to 2 years. So it's somewhat fresh and new. But the goal would be to host up to 5 events. Your approval this evening would ultimately give us the ability to start planning with acts. As we've indicated to city services, there's only so much planning we can do in advance of until we know the specific criteria of the act and what it is that they would require with respect to escorts or staffing levels and so forth. We have very industry-specific and acceptable staffing levels, and ultimately we would work with city services to further develop a plan on a show-by-show basis for maybe 1 event. It could be up to 5. We're very late in the calendar year, and ultimately the goal would be to get more for the amortization. And long-term, we see the property at Scarborough Downs as a very viable unit for what we do. It has a lot of buffering. It has great proximity to the highway system. And ultimately, as when we sat down with the town manager Hall, it would be a great gateway for the city, and the economic impact is enormous. We know that the Bangor project brings $30 to $35 million to the region. You can't get in a hotel, you can't get into a restaurant or a bar, either before the show or after. Hotels sell out generally on the day we announce a show in Bangor, and there's a number of beds in that city. And so there'll even be a spillover effect into some of the outside communities, and that's why we approached the chamber to start that dialogue, because we feel that it'd be very beneficial for the region. We found that the state studied it with their arts commission. We've studied it independently, and the city studied it, and all of our studies point in the direction of very positive things in a very down economy. So what we found is that having, again, operations on both ends of the state would be very beneficial to us and to the fan base.
Okay, hold it right there. Before we go any further, stay right there. We'll have questions, I'm sure. Why don't we have a motion and then a second, and we'll ask questions.
I move approval of order number 1245.
Second.
Okay, questions? The one question I have on tab 6, you have a list of dates here, and are those confirmed?
No, we can't confirm a show until your approval is in place. So ultimately, the goal is to chase these acts. We've had discussions with their management and their agents. They are holding the dates for us. The routing works. They're in the region. They would like to play the state of Maine, and so ultimately tonight's approval would give us the ability to take this further and chase the acts down, per se.
Okay. And it should be noted that we have a letter in here from the fire chief, and the fire chief and the police chief have reviewed this, and they have no issues with this at all. Right, Tom?
Yeah, I think there'll be ongoing dialogue and work with Waterfront Concert Group, but at this point, they've done their reference checks with their colleagues in Bangor, and everything's checked out very, very well. So we have no reason to believe that things won't go as promised.
I don't really have a question, I just have a comment. I certainly support it. I'm happy to see something kind of take root and move forward at the Downs property. That's, I think, to me, it goes right hand in hand with Higgins Park as far as needing, it needs something. It needs some help, it needs a facelift, it needs, life coming back to it. My only comment was the one and only complaint that I heard somewhat consistently about the concerts was any day but Sunday. Just because Sunday nights are hard, a lot of people go back to work Monday. That was the only complaint I heard, so just maybe keep that in mind.
We can be very cognizant of it, too, as we work with city staff, and in Bangor, we have a specific curfew period on Friday and Saturday. Then we have a specific curfew period on Sunday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which tends to end earlier. So if that's something that the council would like to discuss, we have no issue with that. Currently, the way the ordinance reads is 10:30. In Bangor on the weekends, they've extended it to 11:30. But generally, the 10:30 hour to have everything dark and quiet seems to be a socially acceptable range in that city. And many others. Some cities are 11 and midnight on the weekends, but it's ultimately much like primetime TV. As long as you operate in that hour and you were done before the 11 o'clock news, you were in a much better position. So.
Councilor Benedict.
I'd like to thank you for bringing up the point of the economic end of things. Being a follower of bands, it's absolutely nothing for me and my wife and other couples to get in the car and go to Bangor, to turn around and go over to Laconia, where they also have them, concerts of sorts, to go to Hampton Beach. So I agree with you that not only are you providing some entertainment for people in the town, but it's also a very high potential of bringing dollars from outside the town. And I will support the 1 through 5 and hope it goes through.
Councilor Roy.
Yeah, I certainly will support it. I think, I know that for some, the noise may be bothersome, but it's a brief period of time, and it brings enjoyment. I've already picked out 2 or 3 of the tentative ones that I want to go to, so we're all set.
We'll have to end it at 9 o'clock.
No.
To follow up on the economic impact, too, I overheard the council's discussion with respect to Haggis Parkway, and it sounds like you have a comprehensive plan or a plan that you would ultimately like to achieve. And I think that moving forward, if we have great dialogue and we're successful in this calendar year, what we would be looking for from the council at some point would be some more of a blanket style agreement like what we have in Bangor, which we produce a number of events and we have certain criteria, certain days we can and certain days we can't, times when we need to be done by, and fines if we're not done by those periods, and that ultimately allows us to really hold the band accountable so that they're consistent and they play nice. But what the city up there has found is that the development in the downtown district has been a huge boom, simply because operators can count on a certain number of mortgage payments in a current period. Because if we have 17 shows, it's like having 17 of their biggest days. Irish Bar in downtown Bangor tells us that The only day that's bigger than that is St. Patrick's Day. And then the next 17 biggest days that they have in the calendar year are when we throw concerts. And so that ultimately is really a catalyst for the growth. And I think if you look at Haggis Parkway, and it's ideally suited for hotels and things of that nature, which ultimately would explode if we have this. If you look at Mansfield, Massachusetts, where Comcast Center is, that was a relatively undeveloped area, and now there's a lot of development in that region, simply because of the number of people that go there annually.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions.
Yeah, sure. go ahead.
And maybe for Robbie, I'm not sure. I know there were some problems, and I know you and Mike have indicated that you think this is a good plan, and I understand that you have been running this for quite a while up in Bangor, quite successfully, from my understanding. Along with Jessica, though, I think what I heard was the weekday work days was, because it was a Sunday night, that was problematic. I got more than one call. I got quite a few complaints, because it went on till after, till, I can't remember now if they did fireworks or there was some kind of noise anyway, quite late on Sunday night, maybe after 10:30.
I could hear it.
And Scarborough isn't ready for that. Haven't had it. So I think that, that's part of my concern. And then also I heard that it was such a very hot day, the day of the one concert that we had, that the planner had not adequately provided for that, and that people were leaving the venue to go and get something to drink. There just wasn't enough there. They hadn't provided enough for the amount of people that came. I assume you must have had concerts on very hot days and are prepared for those kind of exigencies?
Yeah, absolutely. We have very specific safety criteria, as you'll see in there. Like the event that happened in Indiana last year when there was a stage collapse, we have very specific dialogue with respect to that. All of our policies are reviewed by structural engineerings on that front. Furthermore, we're sponsored by Pepsi Bottling Group, so if we need more water, they'll gladly kick the doors open for us on a Sunday and deliver it by the pallet, I'm sure. But that being said, we've even taken it a step further. We, again, from a city services level, in listening to them, they stated that there was an issue, and we've dealt with those hot 7 to 9 days in the state of Maine over the last couple of years. We've produced now for 5 years in the state of Maine. 4 years ago, we had a very similar situation in Oxford, very, very dry and dusty period, 90-plus degrees, high humidity, and so forth. And with this 1 to 5 series, it gives us the ability to create real permanent infrastructure that's there, trailers that are air-conditioned. So if somebody is overcome, instead of running an ambulance and really consuming diesel fuel and the unit, we can put them in a production trailer in a chair with a bottle of water. They can then let their body normalize and go back to. Again, furthermore, if we have an enormously hot day, we'll create a watering station for free. Where people can get potable water. Again, it won't be as chilled as one would like. That'll be up to the Portland Water District and the pipes under the ground. But in the grand scheme of things, they will be able to hydrate for no cost. Again, we're a for-profit institution, so generally we sell bottles of water.
Right.
But if it gets to be a situation of safety and concern, the last thing we want to do is have people dropping because of not hydrating. We'll even, our security director, Tim and Janet from our security company are here tonight, and we'll take cases and cases of water and distribute them between bands at the barricade where people tend to mass because they don't want to leave that area, and we'll just hand it out for free because ultimately for us a medical transport is far greater liability than giving away a 70-cent bottle of water.
Thank you.
For me, I didn't hear many complaints or concerns about how it was run last year. I think actually it was probably run better and went much better than we probably dreamed. I guess we were all expecting some big bad things to happen, and it really didn't. I think the police department, the fire department did a terrific job kind of monitoring the whole the activity down there, and I certainly support this, and I hope you can bring all 5 shows in, 5 acts. I think it's terrific, and you learn. From what you say, you've learned from the problems that you had last year and can correct those, and every year maybe it'll get a little better. But I think it's a terrific idea, and I look forward to it. It sounds like you got some Terrific names, too, so.
And that list will change, too. It's not, that's what we're chasing at this point, but once we have an operational permit, there'll be some more stuff. There was an article in the Press Herald a couple days ago about Mumford & Sons wanting to play the Eastern Prom. That could blow up just as soon as it got put together, because there's a lot of logistical issues at that site that very easily could come here. You never know. I mean, there's other acts that would ultimately raise their hand once we have the permit, we have the ability, and we would be in the driver's seat to pick and choose and do exactly what we would like to do. And for this, it's a case study in what long-term can we do in this market. Can we produce 12 to 15 shows annually here, minimize our impact on the community? Is there going to be traffic on certain days? Is it going to be a little noisy? Yes, but as many have said, that can be the sound of money for the region, and we find that as a very positive impact.
Thank you. With that, we need a motion?
No, I already have one.
We have, all
Have
those in
one.
favor? Opposed? It's a vote. Good, we look forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is non-action items. We have none.
We have none.
And next is standing committees reports. Council Roy?
Well, I already talked about Finance Committee, so I don't need to repeat that. And then the second committee is the Long Range Planning Committee, and we passed one little piece of the Higas Parkway proposals, and we'll be coming forward fairly soon with that. And as I've been promising, we'll be coming forward with the Pine Point rezoning. There's just to finalize still the DEP portion of the shoreline zoning component of that TVC zone and the shoreline, the overlay zone. So that one will be coming forward, probably both of them by maybe the next meeting, or at least the first meeting in May. I think that's it.
Council Holbrook?
Housing Alliance will be meeting tomorrow night, which will be the 5th at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. They'll be continuing their discussions and their work on the Habitat project, about trying to incorporate some of the feedback that they've received from the abutters and from the general public as well. Appointments did meet this evening. We have a few nominations. We have the Coastal Waters. There are postings for appointments this evening. Coastal Waters and Harbor Advisory Committee would like to post Timothy Downs and Robert G. Willett as full voting members. We also have the Pest Management Advisory Committee. We have Ivor Carlson, Terry Eddy, Mark Flansby, Todd Jepson, Tim Lindsay, Sarah Wiley, and Marla Zando.
And that's, you have other openings though, right, on different committees that we still have openings?
We still have openings for the Coastal Waters and Harbor Advisory Committee. And we also have,
Energy.
we do have one for Energy Committee, cable television, as well as
Something else.
something else.
Yep.
It's actually in my note to ask for a new list, but
I can't find the note.
They're on the town site, aren't they?
They are on the town site, and if you want an application or apply for one of those, just, you can go right online and get that information.
and please do apply. We love you and need you, and please come.
Councilor Sullivan?
I have nothing to report.
Councilor Benedict?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm all set.
Yeah, very minor. Ordinance Committee will be the last, the fourth Tuesday of April, which I don't have the date for right now. The Senior WOW Group will be meeting April 24th, and we're going to have an interim special meeting, I believe it will be on the 10th, regarding some changes in staffing of the Senior WOW program.
Did you say the last Thursday or?
Tuesday.
The last Tuesday is the
29th.
24th.
No, sir.
24th,
Yeah.
that's when the ordinance committee will be as well. So I'll be busy morning and night that day.
Take the day off.
I like that.
Right here.
I'm all set. Town managers report?
A couple of things just to advise council on. Members of the Finance Committee were briefed a bit on the police department's interest in buying its annual 4 police cruisers. We actually opened bids this week, and just by way of background, for many years, perhaps a decade or so, the Ford Crown Victoria has been the police vehicle of choice, certainly for Scarborough and for most departments. That vehicle, that model is being discontinued, so every department's kind of looking around and seeing what the options are. There's actually 3 different options, and in fact, we had vendors provide bids for 3 different vehicles, those being a Dodge Charger, a Chevy Caprice, and a Ford Interceptor, which is actually a Taurus. And we're still at a bit of a crossroads in terms of what the best long-term solution is. And so I think the approach we're going to take is actually to bring in all 3 and give them a good, thorough test drive, if you will, rather than just a test drive, put them in service. And that will help not only the officers to get a feel of the vehicle, how it operates in all weather conditions, how it feels on the inside for comfort, but also for our mechanics to get a sense of tire wear and any mechanical issues. I suspect we'll have to make a decision, we will make a decision, which will probably be with us for another decade, so I want to make sure we make the right one. So I think it's a very reasonable approach that the chief is recommending, and I'm going to accept that. So don't be surprised if you see some different vehicles bearing the Scarborough colors and emblem in the coming months. I also mentioned through my weekly report last week, we are seriously considering getting out of the business of being an agent for IF&W, and I see Councilor Benedict scowl at me as I suggest this. The fact of the matter is we receive very little in compensation for our services. It's between $1 and $2, and this is for issuing hunting, fishing, and trapping licenses, and then also permitting or registering watercraft, ATVs, and snowmobiles. We are paid a very small agent fee, and I'm certainly not suggesting we get out of the business for our residents. Right now, we service the general public, and unbeknownst to us, the Buxton Town Office and Scarborough Town Hall are the only ones in the area that service other than their own residents. And many times we can accommodate the traffic, and staff is here, we're paying them the same, but there's certain times of the year that are fairly predictable, end of the month and around tax due date, that it's very, very busy in that front office. And as we deal with smaller staff, one of the ways we're looking at is to reduce the amount of business. So if council members have strong feelings about this, I'd love to hear about this from you, but it's one of the strategies we're exploring. We're meeting this Friday, Chairman Alquist, Councilor Roy, myself, and the IT staff to recap how the tablets are doing and getting a sense of what the next step is. All indications are that it's been positive. We want to sit down and understand all of that before we take the next step. If it goes well, I suspect within the next month or so, we'll be looking at launching this council-wide. So stay tuned on that. And just lastly, on budget review, as was mentioned earlier, things are going to happen fairly quickly. Every week, a piece of the budget adoption process is before the council. I did want to point out to those members of council who are not on the Finance Committee, at your places this evening, I left replacement pages for your budget. There were a couple of errors and oversights that we've caught along the way, and so there's a small explanation in replacement pages. If you like, you can turn your budget in and we'll replace those for you. They're not dramatic changes, but nonetheless, we want to make you aware as soon as we were. That's it.
Thank you. Councilor Benedict, councilor comments?
Well, I find that a very reasonable report. I do want to comment on the rejection of outsiders getting licenses, et cetera, in town. I could say from first-hand knowledge, prior to moving to Scarborough in 2001, we camped in Old Orchard Beach for 25 years prior to that. And there was the last 10 years, I always came to Scarborough, A, because it could be done, coming in the door and going out the door, whereas going to Cabela's or Walmart, there would either be someone that wasn't there, someone wasn't available, they ran out of licenses. These, to me, as a patron, were not reasons, they are excuses. I did find that coming into the town here, you could do it all in one whack, especially the boating. If we have got at least 2 legal manned or womaned areas where boats can be put in the water, and the boats have got to be registered. And one of the reasons, when they go to put the boat in, there's people down there to check for stickers for implementing the boat is the water, but also for registration, et cetera. And I believe it's going to tend to make people say, heck with it. If we can't get the sticker and they go to Walmart and now they're dragging their boat behind them and they can't get it done and they tell you to come back in 3 days, which always happens during the hunting season, they run out of the packages of tickets to give you. It's just an absolute horror show, and never happened here. And we're presenting ourselves as a summer community and trying to boost the economy, as well as boost some of the facets that we give to the people. I think it would really be a sacrilege to take this away, not at the expense of overworking the town employees, but if it meant a part-time individual for the high-timed areas, peak times, then we should go along with that. I have not seen the dollars and cents, although it might be a minimum $2 or $3 per. How many per do we get? How much money do we take in? And then we got to weigh the advantage of turning it away in terms of what we are presenting for the public to do while they're in Scarborough. And I just think as an avid hunter and an avid boater, fisherman, lobstering on a recreational basis, then it would be a sacrilege for the town to give it up to the public. There's people in campgrounds that come up and they didn't remember to register the boat. They have the trailer registered so that they can legally bring the boat with them, but they can't legally put it in the water. It's got to be registered. And you get people that are for the season in these campgrounds. The boats stay there. I just wanted to add that I would not vote for anything to do with that. Thank you.
You made that clear.
I tried to.
That's all right.
I just want to say thank you to my fellow councilors for supporting the motion of the, what's the name of that thing? Resolution. God.
It's only 9 o'clock here.
I told you that, 9 o'clock.
I hate to tell you that, but the resolution, I appreciate it because, I'm just not going to let Oak Hill stay the way it is. I'm going to work and work and work to get something done there because it needs to be done. And I also just want to offer to Robbie, I have a lovely 2002 Lincoln Town Car that you might want to put in your fleet. You can test it out anytime you want.
Driven by a little old lady, not mine.
No, it was the first driven by a little old man.
Council Roy.
I'm glad that I, supported that, and I think, at least we need to move forward. And I think we also, as councilors, need to be a little more cognizant and make sure that you look at the planning board agendas, and we have a liaison to the planning board, and maybe we could get brief reports periodically of what's going on, because it's hard to keep track of everything that goes on, but we need to really touch base. And as usual, I usually offer out condolences, and there are a few people, I don't really know them, but they did reside in Scarborough. Deborah Zamfis, she's been in Scarborough since '05. Shirley Richfield, she was one of the first residents of Piper Shores. And that was, back in 2001 when Piper Shores opened. And Russell Rogers, and then one of our local residents has been in town for a long time, Alan Durgan, one of the Durgan family.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Passed away. And then, last but very not least, Ed Simons, dear friend, served on our planning board, served on the board at Hospice of Southern Maine, worked in the St. Vincent de Paul Soup Kitchen. He delivered Meals on Wheels to residents in Scarborough who needed them. He was a major fundraiser participant for our library, for St. Maximilian Church. Just a all-around great guy. I think he was on our planning board at least 9 years. And tremendous man, very much of a gentleman, and will be sadly missed by the community. He was always there with a willing hand to help, so we'll miss him.
Thank you. That's all.
I was kind of giggling in my head when you were talking about the cars and the PD getting to play and try them out for a few weeks, and fresh off of that Public Works tour, and they were talking about how they inspect all the vehicles after a high-speed chase to make sure there's no overheating or defects, so make sure they don't have to go get checked, not beating on them too hard. Other than that, just have a happy Easter.
Yes.
Thank you.
About Easter.
That's coming.
Councilor Sullivan.
Yes, also, my condolences go out to the Simons family. I think knew Ed, I think I was 6 or 8 years old, so I've known him for a long time. And he was a dear friend of my father's, and he served the town well, and he served his church well, St. Maximilian, and he will be missed. I got two other things. Next meeting, on the 18th, I'll be bringing forward a new town policy proposed to deal with the school grounds and the ball fields in the park. It's called an IPM, which is Integrated Pest Management, and with a BMP, which is Best Management Practices, and it's going to model the proposal that was adopted by the Board of Pesticide Control on 2/24/2012. It was a joint effort by people on the organic side, people on the synthetic side. It is a common sense approach of dealing with turf grass on the school grounds. The Cooperative Extension Service, University of Maine, Board of Pesticide Control was also deeply involved with it. Professors at the University of Maine, at Orono, and people just concerned about reducing human pesticide exposures. And in light of that, there also are going to be two seminars. One is going to deal directly with the best management practices for athletic fields and schools that has been adopted by the Board of Pesticide Control. It is going to be April 11th from 2 p.m. to 5:30. It's called the School Turf Workshop, and it's going to be in Cape Elizabeth, at the Cape Elizabeth Middle School, once again from 2 to 5:30. And the second one comes on the 12th, which will be Paul Tukey, which is going to have an organic lawn care seminar, free to the public. It's a workshop on April the 12th, once again, from 2 to 4 at the Scarborough Public Library, public meeting room. And he will cover pesticide-free lawns and going the organic way. And that's all I have to report.
Okay. First, Councilor Benedict, I look forward to having that debate with you on whether we should sell those licenses or not. Certainly hunting and fishing licenses, more people are selling those all the time. Cabela's does. Certainly Walgreens is going to get into that, to do that now. So I think it'll be a good debate. I look forward to that discussion.
Bring your best game.
I'm just kind of, protective of the things that we do and make sure we maximize what we do for our citizens and not so much for the people who are outside of town. Again, I want to thank the students for being here tonight. I think you got your 2 hours in. I wanted to mention Peggy Pendleton's here tonight, the grandmother of one of the students, and she was a former legislator and state senator, certainly, and it's been very helpful over the years to the town of Scarborough, that's for sure, so it's good to see you. And with that, I don't think there's anything else. Does anybody have anything else? If not, we'll motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor? It's 2 hours worth.